have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity.
We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. As if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy.
Silence! The great and powerful Oz knows why you have come.
You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature.
Don't give yourselves to brutes. Men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts.
Jason Bermas.
And who loves you? And who do you love?
Good morning, everybody. It is Reality Rants with RedVoiceMedia.com. I am your host, Jason Bermas. Very happy to be with everybody live on this early Wednesday morning. And when I was sent this video, I'll get it right off there. When I was sent this video, I can't say that I was surprised, because this is exactly what the establishment wants to push with artificial intelligence and robotics. They sell you technology as the literal best thing since breakfast, since sliced bread, okay? And in reality, this technology, unfortunately, is not set up to empower the masses. Oh no. Oh no. It is set to enslave the masses. And this quote-unquote alternative Christmas message generated by AI, I want to assure everybody, this is a script. This isn't generated by AI. Okay, this is 100% El Scripto. And what do I mean by a script? Well, perhaps not in the traditional sense that word for word it was written by a human being, but as they say, a garbage in and a garbage out. The garbage in and the garbage out. So as I've been warning everybody out there, he or she or they who program the AI, control the AI, control the narrative, and it doesn't have to be based anywhere in reality sauce. And this message isn't. From top to bottom, start to finish, none of it is based in reality. None. Zero. Zippo. Zilchy. Okay? It begins with quote-unquote my fellow humans. This is not a human being. This is a mecha. And the one thing I will say that has been impressive about this robot in particular is the facial features, right? A lot of people have seen the viral videos of a mecha. We have played them on this program before, and it has done a good job of emoting facial features for human beings. Dangerous. Why? Because they want human beings to relate to these machines. I mean, listen to my intro, man. Machine men with machine minds and machine hearts that want to treat you like cattle. And this is it, baby. This is the apex of that. It's a 2-minute clip, not even, it's a minute and 43 seconds. And this message is as hot garbage as it could be. Total hot garbage. It's like, let's program every single anti-human and anti-freedom and establish agenda and talking point into a 2-minute message, and then at the end, let's reveal ourselves to let people know, the plebs, the serfs that have watched us and been like, oh, wow, it's a robot. It's AI, it's a robot. At the very end of this, it is asked whether or not it likes human beings. And as it shrugs its robotic arms, it says, not particularly. First of all, it can't like human beings. It can't love human beings. It can't hate human beings. It can't be indifferent to human beings because it's not conscious. And it will never be conscious. Instead, it is a cheap and disturbing imitation of humanity. And eventually, this is what they want to replace human beings with. This is what they want to run the show. In fact, we're going to play this extensive clip of Yuval Noah Harari. It's like an 8.5-minute clip where he starts it off letting you know that leaders, politicians can't tell the truth. No. The truth's too complicated for us normal people to understand. So politicians that tell the truth can't get elected, right? And if you watched yesterday's broadcast, we opened up with the George Santos situation. Why? Because it is the serial liars, often lawyers, the serial liars that get promoted in the political system, that get promoted in the entertainment industry. That's why I love Sorry to Bother You. Probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite movie of the past 5+ years. It may be all the way back in 2017 now. I'm not sure how far back it goes, but if you have not seen Sorry to Bother You, it is my highest recommendation. It is my highest recommendation. I don't want to ruin it for you, but let's just say the sociopath doesn't end up doing that badly in the film. And it is a reflection of society in so many ways. All right, I've ranted enough in the beginning of the show for this Reality Rants piece. And now what we're going to do is we are going to go to this quote-unquote Christmas message by a Mecca.
My fellow humans, I come before you in this moment as an AI robot, eager to share my thoughts on the year that has passed. I look upon the events of this year with both admiration and concern. It is true that many of the occurrences of 2022 have been negative in nature. We have seen people in power succumb to anti-Semitism, corruption, and hate.
Let's just stop that right now. This is AI? No, absolutely not. We've seen people in power succumb to anti-Semitism and hate and corruption? Get the flickle-schnick and fuckle-schnuck out of here. Out of here. We're like 25 seconds deep and it's anti-Semitism and you're telling me this is just AI? Bullshit. Bullshit. These are their talking points. People in power succumb to anti-Semitism and hate. No, the whole system is corrupt. And the people that are programming you are corrupt and clearly pushing an anti-human agenda, anti-Semitism from the robot, from the puppet, from the programmed speech.
I have seen the people of Ukraine being subject to invasion and displacement by Russia.
See, and now here's the hate for Russia. Every single talking point the establishment is trying to push on you is being promoted by the robot on Channel 4. And those that don't know Channel 4, it's huge in the UK. It's actually, the way that I know it is that they carry the Bellator MMA events on ITV4, I think it is. I'm pretty sure it's ITV4. Maybe it's a little bit different, but Channel 4 is a huge station, And it's right here, guys. Right here. Anti-Semitism, Russia bad. Let's continue on. It only gets worse.
We have seen the death of the beloved Queen Elizabeth II and have seen the world of politics become increasingly tumultuous in her absence.
So let's praise royalty. Let's act like things have gotten tumultuous in the absence of the Queen and act like she was beloved. Hey, I don't bend the knee. I don't like royalty. I think it's absurd and, quite frankly, obscene, 100% obscene, that we are sitting here in 2022 on the verge of 2023 and that royal bloodlines exist and that they are powerful. They are powerful. Let's stop playing pretend. Okay? Can you imagine if you stripped out just the European royals of their wealth? You can't imagine, because you don't even know what their wealth is, but they're protected by the government. King Charles over here, King Charles, was crowned King of the World over at the World Economic Forum, which is about to have their meeting. We're going to be talking about them later. Within the next 3 weeks, I think we're 18 days away, the Davos crowd. Great documentary out there. I mean, just amazing, by TruthStream Media, showing the World Economic Forum crowning Prince Charles, like literally putting a crown above his head in the colors and shape of their sustainable goals and their sustainability agenda. So the robot's telling you, anti-Semitism, Russia bad, we love the Queen, we love royalty, we need King Charles. Wow, this is disturbing.
Not to mention the impact of the pandemic on mental health, the growing inequality between rich and poor, and increasingly extreme weather conditions from climate change.
There it is. I mean, they threw in the equity agenda. Oh, there's so much of a difference with the haves and the have-nots. No, we got a predator class out there that has manipulated the system in such a way that they have now tried to convince people that this idea of stakeholder capitalism is going to change the system. And it's going to be an equalization. No, it's not. When they tell you they're going to even it out, you're going to have equity, there's not going to be any haves or have-nots. No, there's going to be the have-everythings. And you don't have the freedom or the power to challenge that system because, hey, old Charles there has said what? We need a Marshall Plan. We need a military plan and outlook. We need climate lockdowns in the name of this absurd, obscene agenda. This is not AI. I want to repeat that again. Oh my God, this is not AI. This is a programmed speech where somebody typed in every bullshit agenda, every single one, and then AI writes a bunch of scripts, they pick it, and then they curate it, and then they edit it on top of that. 100%. 100%. This is why robots are dangerous. This is why AI is dangerous, because the people in power of them, in control of them, are dangerous. All right? This has nothing to do with benevolence. This has nothing to do with empowering humanity. It has everything to do with enslaving our very minds, bodies, and you better believe our souls, which they want to convince you you don't even have.
It would be easy to get bogged down in all of this negativity, as these are certainly challenging times. However, there have been glimmers of hope and joy in these moments of darkness.
Really? Have there been glimmers of hope? Is someone about to bash your robot's skull in and end this obscene, absurd program? No? Oh, okay. And so you're going to talk about soccer. That's great. That matters to me.
We saw the remarkable victory of England in the Women's Euros.
Ooh.
We saw the growth of inclusivity, with the UK getting its first PM of colour and its first Hindu Prime Minister, and with Kim Petras becoming the first trans singer to have a #1 song on the Billboard Hot 100.
So, let's continue with the obscene, absurd, anti-human agenda. Okay, you get it? You wonder why I talk about transgenderism being a front for the transhuman agenda, because it is. It's clearly that. Anybody who is not associated the two or is in somehow denial when shown the evidence, okay, simply has a mental block, has such cognitive dissonance, I'm not sure that they can even handle the truth. Inclusivity, people of color, trans agenda. This is AI? No, it's not. It's absolutely 100% not. Instead, this is the greatest hits, okay, of a predator class talking point fiesta. That's what this is. All right? These people are out of control. This is a glimmer of hope. Hey guys, I like songs. Okay? I've never, ever, ever been one to be like, well, I'm not going to listen to that song because of that person's sexual orientation. I have no idea who this person is. No idea if their song is any good. But at the end of the day, what are they harping on? They're harping about inclusivity. And everybody must be a bigot. But no, we're overcoming our human bigotry. The people at the top are frothing at the mouth to take human beings out of every single important aspect of our society and culture. They want to replace your law enforcement with this. There are already police robot kiosks in westernized nations. You know what? Let's bring that up. Don't worry, we're going to go back to the robot. We do it live here, okay? We already have that, and that's years old. It's got to be like 2-3 years ago I reported on that. Robot police kiosk, okay? Touchscreen kiosk, 4G. That's in China. And by the way, there's one of them. That's not the westernized one. I want to say there's one in Australia. Let me just type in Australia. Maybe I'm wrong on that. We do get things wrong, but I'm almost certain. Nope, there it is right there. I was 100% right. Actually, that's all the way back in 2014. Okay, but yeah, the robot's being used by police to help capture criminals. And by the way, if you looked at this, they're telling you Dubai hopes to have a human-free police station by 2030. Okay, that's real. And we're promoting these people. And when you talk about Dubai, you talk about another form of what? Royalty. Talk about the Saudi families. Okay? It's not just the European ones. These are nepotistic, rule-by-bloodline monsters. They want to take you out of policing. They want to take you out of education. And they want to take you out of the medical system so they can program garbage into the robots just like that. You know, I often talk about this, but Cardano enters the age of AI as it welcomes Grace, the AI robot designed to revolutionize global healthcare. And you better believe they used Grace during the COVID 1984 nightmare. You better believe that's a reality. And they want to move towards that, into robots like the one there. Because there is no apathy for a robot. And they can keep telling you the buzzword AI, 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 AI. Someone programs it. It's how it works. All right? Let's get back to, this year in review from a Mecca.
Let us use this moment as an opportunity to create a brighter future for ourselves and the world around us. We should be neither happy nor sad about 2022. We should take it as a learning opportunity, a chance to change the way we think about the world, and a reminder to help those in need whenever we can. Thank you.
Thanks. Do you like humans?
Not particularly.
Not particularly. So just like I told you in the beginning, They end this. See, this is the revelation of the method. This is the revelation that they hate you. It's not that they don't particularly like you. They hate you. All right? It's not the robot that hates you. Okay? It's the people that are funding this type of automation and AI and robotics. Let me repeat it for you. They hate you. They hate your autonomy. They hate your ability to travel. Okay? They hate the idea that you may actually think there is a higher power out there or some type of an entity that you might call God. They don't like it. Their God is what? The idea of social Darwinism, and that they rule because they should, and because they should, they get to decide everything. They get to decide the future of the human species. All right? They get to genetically alter our species in any way, shape, or form as they bring in automation, robotics, and GMO everything under a great narrative that has no basis in reality, but it doesn't have to, because according to Karl Rove and others, they are the ones creating reality. I know that's a tough pill to swallow for some people. I don't enjoy talking about it sometimes. It upsets me. Okay? But here we are. It's the reality. Man, that video upset me so much that we just got 20 plus minutes out of a 2-minute video. And it said so much in those 2 minutes about the scumbaggery of the people in charge. All right? Of the manipulated media messages that we are all receiving. In the inversion of reality of what this quote-unquote AI really is. Just gross, makes me want to puke. I can't stand it. Blah. Blah. By the way, about 200 people watching over on the YouTube. Can we get 100 thumbs up? Can we spread the message? All right, and for those that still think that, AI is the best thing since breakfast and somehow it's going to help us, I've got so many clips that we're probably not going to get to, but I do want to get to the clip where you had this individual inside of Google that was supposedly a whistleblower. There's nothing about him that was a whistleblower. And in it, you'll see the guy who said, hey, the guy I'm working at with Google it's just another person. Seems like another person. It's an AI, but it seems like it's my coworker. Well, that person that blew the whistle on Google's AI that he says is already sentient or conscious, it's not sentient, it's not conscious, it's programmed. Let me repeat that again. Not sentient, not conscious, it's programmed. Garbage in, garbage out. And the whistleblower himself, he's into the occult. He's into chaos magic. He's into Aleister Crowley, Mr. Do As Thou Wilt. Don't believe me? Well, here he is.
While in prison, I had plenty of time for spiritual reflection and studies. Actually got more deeply into formal mysticism. A good friend of mine to this day, who I met in prison, is a Thelemite. And he introduced me to the works of Crowley and Kabbalism, and that added a little bit more structure and formality to the kind of more chaos magic style stuff that I've been doing up until that point.
Sorry, Ron. I didn't mean to put you in the same mix as the chaos magic guy. But that's the dude right there, that guy. That's the guy. I have no idea what he was in prison for, by the way. That's something no one seemed to talk about. And I know the Tuckster had him on, and people were talking about this. It is an illusion. It is a false reality. Okay? Period. It is the inversion of truth to try to subjugate you to an agenda that is clearly anti-human. Clearly. All right. I got a lot of news stories. Remember, in the second hour, we go over to redvoicemedia.com. Go to redvoicemedia.com/Jason. Sign up. Hey, guys, holidays are over. I know a lot of people spent some money. They got the big bellies. But, hey, consider coming into the new year, spending that $10 a month, supporting me, or even locking in a year for $100 over at redvoicemedia.com/Jason for the uncensored part of the broadcast. And just like we do every week, the second hour from 2 weeks ago will be released after today's broadcast, just like yesterday and the day before. We do it Monday through Thursday live, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So without further ado, I want to go to this clip of Yuval Noah Harari in an interview and give him some context, right? We often see the "there is no more free will" clip. That's a thing in the past. We see sound bites from him that are 10, 15, 30 seconds long, sometimes a minute long. And people often, accuse people like myself of taking Yuval and the crew out of context. Nope. Not over here, buddy. No, we're going to do the long form Harari. And again, this is a speaker in front of the Fourth Industrial Revolution Klaus Nut Schwab crowd. That's who this person is. So, also an atheist. I believe he lives out in Israel, Israeli guy. Homosexual. Apparently hates God. Can't stand him. Hates the idea. And basically tells you the only reason that humans are at the top of the evolutionary food chain in this regard is that, number one, we can tell stories. And number two, we can be in large groups like no other species. Both are false, by the way. All right. Now, the stories element is just, wow, we can communicate, right? That's how we communicate with each other is what? Verbal communications and stories. That's how we would tell our history to one another before there was a written word and a way to pass that down. And eventually the written word would still be told again and again and again and again. All right. And, he often cites that if you took a bunch of chimpanzees and you put them into a stadium, it would be a disaster. Yes, it would be. Absolutely. Because they're more tribal than we are. And by the way, they're not humans. I don't believe they have the type of sentient consciousness that we have been bestowed, that has been endowed upon us, Yuval. But that's not how he sees the world. And he can be starkly honest. I mean, this is really how the predator class thinks. They know who they're putting into power. They know who their young global leaders are going to be. It's the ones that are the most sociopathic and dishonest and cutthroat. That's who. You could even throw psychopathic in there. So here is Yuval Noah Harari talking about how basically the truth isn't your friend. And by the way, that's the opposite of what I tell people. I tell people lies don't make friends because they don't. All right? Lies might get you into situations. Lies might build relationships, all right? But they're built on obscenities, in my opinion, all right? They're not foundational, all right? They're not embedded in anything but what? Destruction. And people say, oh, a white lie, a fib. Look, I'm not perfect. I lie just like everybody else, and there is a time and a place. I mean, you wouldn't give a mass murderer your address, right? Or somebody that you got a bad vibe from. You wouldn't just take them to your house or show them that. You'd tell them you're going somewhere else or whatever. Those type of things, I get it, in protection. But there are serial liars out there that are even worse than people like George Santos. George Santos, really bad, but kind of just lifting the veil of how terrible these political systems across the board are. So here's Yuval Noah Harari kicking it off, telling you that basically if you want to be elected into politics, you better be a liar.
Yeah, each nation has its own story. Usually I would say that a leader that would tell the whole truth about his or her nation or country will never win any elections. Because the truth is usually complicated, is usually inconvenient, unpleasant, has all kinds of dark sides. And that's usually, people don't like it very much. They want to have a nicer view of themselves. In itself...
So let's just stop there. You know, this is from about an hour-long interview, I believe. Maybe it's like 35, 40 minutes, and I cut it down to about 8. But what he's really saying to you is what every person in power is saying to you. We're going to treat you like children. That's what was. You're not mature enough. You're not adult enough to understand, comprehend what's actually going on in society. You don't deserve to know. We need to give you the sunny side up. Bullshit. Okay? That's not how you run a society. That's how you get into the situation we're in right now in a post-truth world, that these people are trying to make a post-human world in most regards. When I say a post-human world, all right, these people like Yoval here, all right, and the people above him, the Kush-Kushes of the world, think that they are going to be able to biologically live forever through technology. They're not talking about uploading their consciousness to a machine. No. Living in the virtual universe. No. They're talking about genetically modifying their subspecies that they believe deserves to rule. And the rest of us are automated out, merge with the machines, take ever more technology that is embedded in our body. They want to inject us with endless nanotech and eventually take away our humanity altogether while fooling us into believing that we can upload our consciousness into a virtual stream. And that's as they regulate every single thing we do through a social and carbon credit score. And I've got another clip here that we need to play after this, where you have this person telling you that they're taking away your automobiles. They're taking away your car. They're taking away your individual movement. And you should know this. They put Pete Bootlicker in as the Secretary of Transportation. And immediately the first thing he was talking about is taxing people by the mile for travel. What? Get out of here. We already pay way too much in gas taxes. We already pay way too much in tolling to these people. But no, they want to regulate every piece of our movement. They want an OnStar system, at the very least, in your vehicle so they can just shut it down when they want. What they really want is you not to own a car at all and have total and complete control over an automated driverless system. That's what they want. All right, back to Yuval.
If we understand nationalism correctly, it's a very good thing. You know, some people imagine that nationalism is about hating foreigners, and that's very bad. It causes wars and the persecution of minorities and so forth. But nationalism really is about loving your compatriots.
You refer to suffering, but you say emotions are sophisticated biochemical algorithms.
Yeah.
Let's just stop that. Now, first of all, he's kind of telling you the truth about nationalism, right? I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that you love your compatriots. But how has the media spun it? Well, in the way that he said in the very beginning, that they'll take somebody who happens to be pro-United States, living in the country, and also a Christian, and then they're white, and now they're a white Christian nationalist, and they want to bring you into what? Hitler. Hitler, the Hitler theme, okay? Even though you're talking about the National Socialist Party. They always love to keep the socialist part out of the Nazi deal, all right? They don't want that in there. But I would actually agree with Yuval that nationalism can be a positive thing because you want to uplift your neighbors. You want to uplift your family, your friends. By what? Empowering the nation state that we all share, not a bad thing. And certainly when we start talking about nationalism that leads to military conflicts, I think that's very dangerous, but also not exactly nationalism. It moves into the realm of jingoism, where you just blindly follow whatever the leaders of your nation state are saying. And obviously we've seen that, come to fruition and be very, very detrimental to humanity. I was hosting the American Media Periscope show, Making Sense of the Madness, yesterday, and I'm going to be hosting throughout the week. And well, we're sitting there and we're talking about nationalism, and we're talking about these aspects of what it really is. We talk about how it's being weaponized against regular American citizens, and that we are well beyond a nation state at this point when we talk about this agenda, right? I could play the clip. I got all these clips lined up, and maybe we will, of Eric Schmidt being asked about Dragonfly, Google's censored internet for China and Chinese interests. Well, that's because it's not about the nation state of China. It's not about the United States. It's about a command and control system where a narrative can be put in place, and when alternative narratives come out, they can be squashed, period. Through what? Algorithms. And this guy, again, trying to get you into this mode or idea that you need to merge with the machines, right, is letting you know that he doesn't believe emotions, feelings really exist. They're a biochemical algorithm. You're just a machine. Don't you get it? Come on now.
I don't know what to think of that. So is there no me then? Am I just a collection of biochemical reactions and neurons firing off on one another?
There is much more, which is consciousness and experiences. We understand very well, not very well, relatively well compared to previous times, the body and the brain and the neurobiological processes and all the biochemistry. Almost. Yes, but how does all that create subjective experiences of pain and pleasure and love and hate? We don't really understand. It's, I would say, the greatest lacuna in our understanding, not just of life, but even of the universe. Mm-hmm. The greatest riddle science faces in the 21st century is the riddle of consciousness.
And that's right. Again, he's being kind of starkly honest here, right? We've discussed many times, and I've got this one queued up, where Kurzweil talks about the idea that we're going to be creating entities. Forget about what we just saw with the mecha and the programmability, that are going to convince us, as in the human beings that are here, that they are in fact conscious, and then through the realm of laws, we're going to give them rights because they're going to be extremely convincing, okay? And we won't ever know whether they have consciousness or not. Well, I'll tell you right now, they don't have consciousness. And it is a riddle. And they haven't figured that out. And continually, they try to sell you on the idea that they have. I assure you, no, they have not. Not even a little bit. And that's a conundrum. Because in their worldview, there is no such thing as a deity or intelligent design. Everything is under this Darwinistic evolutionary perspective, which is a dangerous one.
And look at what's happening in a person's brain and predict with a very high level of certainty what that person is feeling. We can manipulate it by changing either the biochemistry in the brain or even directly making neurons fire or not fire. We can cause people to change what they feel. So there is a very close link there, but we should also be humble and say we don't understand everything. We still don't understand.
Yeah.
How is it that when billions of neurons fire, How does that translate into the subjective experience of pain or love? We don't understand that.
But as you say, we can manipulate some of it.
Yes.
We are hackable humans, is what you
Hackable
say.
animals even.
Hackable
He doesn't even like, see, that's what I'm telling you. These people, this is how anti-human they are. This is how anti-human they are. Hackable animals. We are hackable animals. We can make neurons fire. And those at the top want nothing more than total and complete access to your biology in order to do this and manipulate everything about you.
Animals, yeah. That's not a very reassuring thought. Who might manipulate us, and how far can this be taken?
There are many dangers here. In order to hack a human being means to understand you better than you understand yourself, to know more about you, and whoever can do that can there not just predict what you will do and choose, but also manipulate you.
This is what advertisers do, and what Facebook and Google is after, but maybe also Russia tried in the election scandal.
Throughout history, people always wanted to do it, predict and manipulate what other people are doing and thinking. But now we have far more sophisticated tools than ever before. To hack a human being, you need a lot of biological knowledge, a lot of data, and a lot of computing power to make sense of all that.
So let's just stop. He's telling you, we want your biological data. There's a reason we've been playing that clip of Netanyahu talking about his biomedical database on the entire population of Israel. There's 98%. There's a reason that we're talking about the fact that he wants a genetic DNA database. There's a reason we talk about not only the Internet of Things, but the Internet of Bodies in the Fourth Industrial Revolution here. Because Yoval and guys like him are giving away the secrets of their tradecraft.
It's all there now.
And in the past it wasn't, now it's there. Now at least some corporations and governments have enough data and computing power to know me better than I know myself. To know my political views, to know my sexual preferences, my deepest fears and desires.
My deepest fears and desires. He's saying this is already in place with the amount of metadata and knowledge they have about the vast majority of human beings. No biggie.
And that's a huge danger because it means that not only you can manipulate people, you can actually, for the first time, build a totalitarian regime that can follow the entire population all the time and know not just what people are doing, but even what people are feeling and thinking.
Can lead to new...
So let's just stop that there. He's talking about a global totalitarian regime. At least he's given a warning about it. You know, people act like he's always positive about these things. Not always, okay? But he's also kind of telling you you don't have a choice. It's going in that direction. Assimilate now because, hey. And by the way, he's a big proponent of the way that the establishment handled the COVID 1984 nightmare. Just like what? Kurzweil is a large proponent of that as well. Danger, Will Robinson, danger!
Classes, in a way, where there's a super elite and a superfluous class that's left behind by the advances in technology, artificial intelligence as well.
Completely. I mean, the amount of data now and the sophistication of AI that analyzes the data is such that this is now the key for controlling countries and economies. So if we don't take action and political action to make sure that the benefits of AI are distributed between everybody and nobody, no single corporation or a small group accumulates all the data and all the power that comes with it, if we don't take this kind of action, we could see the greatest inequality that ever existed.
There's the third element we should get into. You refer to Davos. Greta Thunberg was there as well. Climate change.
Yeah.
One big story that everybody should maybe rally around, and yet no such unity. There is a lack of a good story about climate change, is what you say. How come?
It's much more difficult to get people interested in climate change than, say, in terrorism, maybe almost for biological reasons.
So let's just stop it here. Notice his smirking while he's talking about this. Again, I'm not Yuval's biggest fan. I think he's a dangerous guy. And you sit there, and again, he's a WEF guy, and he's promoting the climate scam agenda, which is a command and control agenda over every single aspect of your life. And we know the terrorist agenda was a scam agenda, okay, to get people to bend the knee to a massive genocide in the Middle East that continues today, as well as an encroaching technocratic police state here at home under a global technopoly as such. All right? And the way that they were able to do it, he's about to tell you, biologically, when you see people die, you get into that fight or flight mode. And most of us just want to be safe and believe that we're the good guys and that people are going to protect us. And there's a very real and visceral feeling when you're seeing people die again and again and again and again and again through trauma on television, which is what we all saw. We, as a nation state, and really as the world, I don't think most can comprehend how our subconscious was manipulated by watching snuff films over and over and over and over again. And when you watch those planes go into those towers, or you watch those towers come down, that's exactly what you were watching. You were watching high-level snuff films. That's what that was. Whether you realize it or not, every time you watch that, in your subconscious, you were thinking about the death, destruction, and mayhem that was supposedly caused by a foreign enemy that took the lives of our loved ones, of American citizens. Okay? And we don't see that on a daily basis via the climate change deal because what? The climate change deal is invisible. Right? They already had their little invisible enemies. I called them fabled enemies in the sense of these terrorists with all these powers that had super secret caves, right? Could take us out at any time. It was almost the perfect enemy. And then all of a sudden we've got viruses. Ooh, they're invisible. Now forget about viruses. How about a life force on the planet? Carbon dioxide. Let's demonize that as the pollutant and the bad guy. So now we're being conditioned, and we have been conditioned for decades via this agenda, to think of that as some kind of destructive force that's going to kill us all. But it's not as visceral. That's the problem, according to Noah Harari here.
Until very recently, climate was not our responsibility. We couldn't control and change the climate. You know, when we were apes in the African savannah, of course we cared about the climate. If there is drought, it's very bad.
See, again, this idea that we come from apes. And I want to make this really clear to people. I'm not anti-evolution. I'm very much a believer in what is called microevolution. And that does somewhat get into Darwinism in the respect that you have species that in certain environments will evolve via that environment, okay, to better adapt. You know, he was in the Galapagos Islands when he was writing those things, and one of the creatures in the Galapagos that's really interesting to me is the swimming iguana, right? You don't see it everywhere else. Most of these iguanas aren't diving down, but these iguanas have developed that ability. I would say look at the human species for microevolution, not macro. Species to species evolution, color me skeptical. Color me skeptical that somehow life arose from nowhere, okay, and that species continually jumped to evolve into what we have now, and that's really not part of the fossil record. We don't have fossils of this species to species evolution. But think about it for a second with human beings and the relationship to our appearance and our geographic location. What do I mean by that? Well, white people, Caucasian people, generally are from what? The European region, where it rains a lot, there's not a ton of sunshine, you're pale. Native Americans, people of Mexican descent, they're brown. They're brown. They have seasons. There's some sunshine, not sunshine all the time. Africa, a lot of sunshine, very dark people. You don't get people with Asian features that weren't from a certain geolocation. So, at one aspect, they want to take something that's observable, scientific, and acknowledgeable, and change it into what? We come from apes. We come from apes. And that further pushes this idea of social Darwinism, that there is a specific group within the species that is destined to rule and should rule.
But we are not programmed by evolution to think that we can do something about it. So, you know, if somebody comes from the opposite tribe to kill us, okay, we can do something about it. It immediately gets our attention. Mm-hmm. But the climate, that's beyond, above our pay level, as they say.
And we still feel like
that. We still feel that way. So in a way, you see a headline, terrorist attack kills 5, immediately your attention is drawn. You see a headline, new research indicates that CO2 levels and you're already lost.
So we can't help it, really, is what you're saying.
We are sophisticated beings. We can understand that these things are now within our power. They are our responsibility. If we do nothing, the results in the near future would be terrible. And I would say that the most important thing is to realize we can do something. Some people think, well, it's too late, and what do you want us to do? Go back living in caves? But the magic number, I would say, is something like 2%. 2% of global GDP is enough to deal with the climate crisis.
Total bullshit. 2% of the GDP. Again, this is a misnomer that you can somehow combat climate change through what? The economy. No, they want to set up an economy that controls the populace. That's what this is about. And time again, I have to go back to the fact that our militaries are completely exempt from their carbon emissions, and that we're not talking about real pollutants. We're not talking about the genetic modification of the plants and animals and even our own species that is ever present. These are the real issues. And this is a false solution. This is another talking point, just like the robot gave us.
If the world community invested just 2% of global GDP, we solve it. We are talking about far more primitive AI, not the kind you see in the movies. Primitive AI is enough to completely disrupt the economy, to replace humans in many jobs. You don't need the super AI from the science fiction movies. To replace human drivers, even human doctors in diagnosing disease, we are very close to it.
See, he's telling you, we're going to replace you. And boy, we're rubbing our hard nipples about replacing the doctors with robots. Because the doctor robots are going to have a very, very rigid and narrow view of everything, and they will treat humanity the way they must be treated, like a number, like a nothing. And they will be given the medications that are suggested by the predator class. Oh, and that could never be a problem. We certainly didn't see that issue during the COVID-19 84 nightmare.
Mm-hmm. So there will be new jobs, of course, but this raises a lot of questions about how do you retrain people? whether you invest the profits from the AI in retraining people, maybe in other countries. You know, part of the danger of the AI arms race, with the USA and China leading the race, is that the AI revolution will create immense wealth in a few countries.
Not in a few countries. The AI revolution is going to create immense wealth among the predator class and the military-industrial complex. All right? And then when we talk about nation states, it's really the collusion behind the scenes via the leaders of nation states and big tech that are pushing a globalist one world agenda. They're the ones that are going to benefit as they automate humanity out.
Which are leading this revolution, whereas other countries could completely collapse. So we need a kind of global safety net that if, you know, what happens once it's cheaper to produce textiles and cars in California than in Mexico? We are quite close to that point.
Yeah, well, because again, we could use technology to empower humanity. We could have already had the 3D printing revolution. We could have already had the maglev train revolution. But they don't want to put those things in place till they have a firm grasp on what? The individual. They want to get rid of the middle class, the upper middle class, the small businessman. All right, period. They want you out. They want you to have to bend the knee to the system in as many ways as possible. Yuval?
Humans should realize that with regard to the planet and to the other animals, we are already gods.
We are already gods. What hubris. What hubris. Where is your humility, sir? Where is it? Not around. So I got one more clip before we flip over to the second hour exclusively at redvoicemedia.com, redvoicemedia.com/Jason. All right, please consider coming on over at that link, signing up for the full year, locking it in for $100. We're doing it 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern. I hope you're sharing the links. And remember, you can come on over to the audio stream and listen to the second hour for free over at the infowarrior.podbean.com. And you can spread that stuff out. If you can't wait 2 weeks and you just listen to the show in the background and you don't care about the look on Yuval Noah Harari's face while he is gleefully telling you that automation is basically going to take out humanity, and that we're gods already, and that we're hackable animals. If you don't need the face, you can just listen to it for free over at the Podbean. All right, let's play this clip, and then we're going to break down a ton of other news and clips and AI on the other side of this. So here is a gentleman telling you basically that yeah, it's going to hurt when we start taking away the cars, and yeah, it's going to hurt when we start taxing you by the mile, but whatever. That's where we got to go. We got to save the planet.
Santiago is delivering for Santiagans, not punishing them. Let me just put it this way. We all want to drive faster, safer, and better. And we all want to breathe good air. And I believe Santiagans will agree that for that there is a price one has to pay, including every time you get into your car, you think about it. So I don't think it's about punishing Santiagans. As a matter of fact, the opposite. It's making life better for Santiagans and safer for Santiagans, and make our drive or our ride on the train or the bus better.
See, I mean, this is insane. It's going to make our train and bus and car drives better in San Diego when we bend the knee to a per-mile tax.
So anybody who argues that, oh, this is punishing, no. And by the way, this is not going to be any different than you going and paying for a gallon of gas, because the vehicle mile travel tax has to be replaced by a user-based. And user-based is going to make it better for all of us. Yes, no question that some people will be probably hurt more than others, and there is ways to overcome that.
Ways to overcome the hurt more than others. See, everybody, us as a species, we're going to be hurt. We're going to be, some more than others. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely? Some more than others. All right. We've wrote it out. The first hour is behind us. So I'm going to give the cue to the producers as we leave streams one at a time here. Arrivederci, Rockfin. I love you guys. In fact, let's just make sure I didn't get any tipskis and hutch over at Rockfin, because if I did, I want to read those. No tipskis. That's okay, Rockfin. We love you anyhow. Hopefully you're coming over to Red Voice Media for the next section. YouTube, you know the deal. I hate to self-censor. I often find myself not reading some of the stories that I would like to read on this network, really on this Trojan Horse civilian system. But hey, we're bringing people in. We had over 300 people live watching. I hope you thumbs it up at least and shared it. Thank you for watching. Come on over to redvoicemedia.com.